What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video, and in this one I want to break down what's happening with overall markets. Just notes that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. It's offered in just 6 days, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, now let's talk about the market. So in my video yesterday, I was talking about how I saw potential for a pullback coming to the markets, and that was correct in the beginning. The market got this big pullback, and the SPY ended up holding support. So I was worried we would end up losing this support, but we ended up holding it very, very nicely because we got a new catalyst. There's a big piece of news that came out that's helping the market push. I want to go over exactly what ended up happening. So the first thing that happened was we got this negative news. Consumer confidence, the report that came out was not so good, and the manufacturing numbers were pretty weak today from the Richmond Fed. The market dipped today. We saw SPY dump all the way down to about 567. So it dropped about 4 points amidst this data coming out. I'll show you right over here. But instead of continuing to fall, we saw the market get a very, very nice V-shaped recovery because there were a lot of buyers who came in just to step in. So SPY started off up here. We got this dump. We were talking about this yesterday, but SPY did not lose critical support at 568. We ended up getting bought back up. And it's possible they dumped the market like this because they're getting ready to push it even higher. So why did the market end up getting like bought back up? We had some very, very big pieces of news coming out, not to mention other factors, but this is one of the factors. In China, the central bank, so basically like the Fed of China, that's like a similar way you could look at it, they have come out and they're announced that they're going to be cutting rates by 50 basis points. So they're also cutting rates, reducing their policies, and this is very, very important news. Now, with this happening, okay, this is going to have a big effect on the US markets in the US because China is a massive economic power that is closely tied to the USA, believe it or not. So I'm not trying to be, in favor of anyone. I'm just trying to say this in a very unbiased manner that China is massive, and when they reduce rates, it's going to have a big effect on their businesses and the US markets and American businesses that use it for their specializations. So China is known for being very, very good at precise manufacturing. They specialize in a lot of different things, and they're very important for the US. So when they make announcements like this is big news for us as well. Amidst the deepening economic slumps, they have found another way and another solution to once again slow things down. So I just want to say that this does not necessarily mean that the economy is all good, everything's fine. It does not mean that whatsoever. I believe there's going to be economic hardship still coming for China and the USA amidst the recession that's going to be announced soon. I believe that there is a recession coming, right? But for now, the market is still being fueled by Jerome Powell's narrative and his words. Jerome Powell has been telling the markets that, hey, the Fed's cutting rates, the economy is fine. He actually said that word for word, the economy is fine, and he keeps on pushing the soft landing narrative. So now when you see other countries like China, which are closely tied to the US, massive, massive, massive economies, they are doing the same thing. And this is going to end up affecting the US as a whole. So with this whole soft landing narrative and with China also joining in and continuing to cut rates, the US markets, I believe, are going to get bought up because of this as well. And I think this is causing a big shift. So once again, guys, it's not the only factor. There's other factors as to why this happened, but this is part of why the market got this nice bounce. So what do I see in the future? What is my opinion about how this is going to go? Like I said before, I was thinking the market was going to dip, guys. That was my honest opinion before. But my view ended up changing because the market held support and because of this new catalyst that came out today about China cutting rates. So, once again, things change in the markets. You can't always just be a bear forever or always a bull forever. On a daily basis, the market could change. And as of right now, the charts are back to bullish. We did dip, like I predicted, we did get the dip, but it wasn't as big as I was thinking. I was wrong about that part, and I admit that. But at the end of the day, it happens, right? We held support, so we just have to continue from here and kind of give a very, very nice update from here on out. So we're back to bullish. Nvidia also bounced amidst the Chinese news and also this news that Jensen Huang may be done with selling his shares. He sold about $713 million worth of shares, and that's some big news, at least for the company as a whole. That's why Nvidia ended up getting a nice rally. There's also news right over here about how the market is greedy. Greedy is back to making up the majority of sentiment. We're at extreme greed in terms of our overall indicators. And with these new catalysts coming out, with China cutting rates as well, I think the US markets are getting bought back up even more, and we could be going for all-time highs again. On top of this, we have the puts and call option ratio, which is at greed. This is going to continue to fall as buyers are stepping in. We saw more puts being closed, and we're seeing buyers continuing to develop. The VIX is continuing to fall. We have a gap to fill below, so I'll be watching that as well. And on top of all of this, I just want to mention that for earnings, we have AutoZone that came out, and then tomorrow we have a few more, all very, very minor ones. But a big one for Thursday is going to be Costco, so just want to give you guys a reminder about that. Anyways, that is it for my analysis of the economy and what news is coming out. Now let's just focus on the chart. So once again, guys, the market held, excuse me, we held support very nicely. We did get the dip we were talking about, but it did not end up lasting, and the buyers came in, proving me wrong and proving that the market could just continue to go amidst whatever factors they choose to use. So we look more bullish, but here are the levels to watch for. If we turn bearish, just hypothetically, okay, if there's some bad news or something and we lose 568, we need to hold below 568 our 20 EMA. If that fails, SPY is going to be dipping all the way down to 565, then 563. We did dip, but then we got bought back up as the buyers are still very strong, and the 4-hour is back to turning more bullish. We have resistance to watch for at 572. If that breaks, we're looking for the all-time high to be tested. If that breaks, we're going all the way up to about 574 to 575. So SPY still remains more bullish. The daily candlestick looks more bullish on SPY, so it looks like it wants to go higher amidst China also cutting rates more. So this is still looking more bullish to me, as long as we don't lose 568. So yes, we dipped only to get bought back up. So this now looks like it wants to go to all-time highs, and SPY may approach that as soon as tomorrow. It is unfortunate that the market is very, very tricky. It was a very, very tricky drop we got today only to get bought back up. So the market remains bullish, and we just have to continue from here. For ES, we also look more bullish. I just want to call this out right here. We're going to be approaching a very, very tough resistance at 5,800. On the 4-hour time frame, we came all the way down towards our 20 EMA. And we held support very, very nicely. So we're going to be looking for a pushback up towards 5,800. If that breaks, we're going all the way up to about 5,820 or higher. If we end up losing 57.68, we're going to be dipping back down towards 57.50. If that fails us, we'll be dipping lower. But I think that as of right now, we're holding above 57.68, and the odds favor the 5,800 area or higher as we look more bullish. So as it looks bullish, we did dip to this support, but then we held our green 20 EMA, and the chart remains more bullish for now. So once again, buyers came in, they defended ES, and amidst China cutting rates, the market remains bullish. Nvidia got a big bounce with the news about Jensen Huang potentially being, or presumably being done with his selling of the shares, and also with China cutting rates. So we have an inverse head and shoulders that's forming. Instead of dipping down to fill this gap, we held just above the gap, so barely above the gap to fool people, and this is back to bullish. We need to hold above 120. If we hold that, we easily go up to about 124. If we lose 120, we're going to be dipping back down, but this is favoring upside, and the odds favor 124 plus. For others out there like Bitcoin looks more bullish. If we end up losing the 62,000 area, we could be dipping, but this is favoring basically 65,000 or higher. And then when you zoom out of the chart like this and you look at this overall trend, we have higher highs and higher lows being made. If we break 65,000, we're going to be pushing even higher for 66,000. So Bitcoin remains more bullish. The 4 hours looking very strong. This might try to break out with China helping to fuel the fire. So not bad whatsoever. A lot of Chinese stocks are very bullish. Tesla is range bound right now. We have a tough resistance around 257. We have supports currently around, we're at support right here at 254, and also our main support's at 252, not to mention 250. So if we break 255, we're looking for 257.5 and then 260. And if we end up losing 250, if we don't hold above 255, we're looking for support at 252 and eventually 250. I think that Tesla's going to be range bound for now, but it could still attempt to go higher now amidst this big news involving China. Remember, Tesla depends on China a lot for their sales. So this is a big piece of news with interest rates going down. I also want to mention the fact that Tesla has a tough resistance at this level, so we might consolidate between 250 and 255 for some time before it attempts to break out even more. As right now, Tesla has more upside potential, but we might consolidate in a range first between 250 and 255, and also up to about 257, just for some time. Look for some consolidation before we attempt to go higher. For NQ, we held support, so I was worried this would dip a bit. We did dip. We actually came all the way down to about 19,950. It did dip a little bit, only to get bought back up. And with this news that's forming, this looks like an accumulation structure. So now we're back to bullish. If we break 20,200, I think we easily go up to this previous support becoming resistance at 20,400. That's going to be our next target. If that breaks, we go even higher, all the way up to about the mid 20,000 area. So it looks more bullish. We'll see if 20,200 breaks for tomorrow. To be bearish, you want to lose 20,000. If we lose 20,000, we close below that, we could be tipping back down to 19,800. But as of right now, that has not happened. The odds are favoring upside for 20,200 and eventually the 20,400 area. So we look more bullish. For the QQQ, we look more bullish as well. We have 485 as our support. If we continue to hold above this, we could continue to push even higher, taking us up to about 488. Right over here, 488 breaks, we go all the way up to this gap support, very close to this 490 area. If we end up dipping back down, you want to see this lose 481 now. If 481 breaks, that's going to be a bad sign. The 20 EMA is going to be our key support, the green line right over here. But so far, we're holding support and we favor 488, and there's a good chance we try to go higher, so look for more upside potential in the QQQ as we held support. Aapl dipped quite a bit all the way down to 225 as predicted. I said if this broke, we could be looking for that gap. In my opinion, if we lose 225, we're looking for 223.8 to 224 as support. And if we end up holding 225, we could try to bounce back up to about 230. Overall, it looks like it's going to be range bound for now between 226 and 230, going back and forth and back and forth. And we'll see if this dips or not. But overall, we're holding up quite well. Not bad whatsoever, as Aapl is just consolidating, so we're going to be watching to see how this goes. Nonetheless, guys, the market is crazy. We saw this dip that faked out a lot of people. Even I thought it would dip even more looking at my signals, but instead the market got bought back up with all this news that's coming out. So let's talk about a few others. NEO is on fire right now. It's up about 11%. It's going to be going to the sixes very soon. Looks bullish. Looking at Palantir, we dipped as predicted, but then we ended up holding support. So if we hold above 36.84, we're looking for 37.5 again. If we don't hold above that, we could be dipping back down to 36 flat. I think we're kind of flat right here within this range, so we could be looking for 37.5 all over again. Might be a little bit of a bounce, but we'll see how that ends up going. For Supermicro, we're kind of range bound right here. We basically have this 472 areas our resistance, and we have the support all the way down here around 457 to about 455, this 20 EMA. So I think this could be dipping back down towards 455 to 457 down here before it tries to rebound. Overall, when you look at Supermicro like this, we are technically on an uptrend, but it might dip a little bit. I could see it dip a little bit more for 455 before it tries to bounce. Overall, it's still holding support. Nvidia could help this bounce as well, so look for a little bit of a dip before it continues. Rivian is just trading sideways, but this is looking like it's trying to rebound. We'll see if we could try to hold support at 11.68. If that holds, I think we could be on our way back up to about 12.33 for a small bounce. If we lose 11.68, we could be dipping lower, but this might attempt to rebound for the 12 area very, very soon. For SoFi, we look a little bit more bullish. We're trying to hold above our 50 EMA, and we're doing a pretty good job, at least thus far. So we'll see how well this ends up holding up. If we hold above 7.8, we're looking for 7.95. If we lose this, we could be dipping back down towards 7.5. I think we're going back up to about 7.95, and I think there's potential in this. So watch and see how this ends up going. For the IWM Russell 2000, we're looking for basically 220 as our support. If we lose 220, we're looking for 218, the 50 EMA. And if we hold this, we could be looking for a rebound back up towards 222. I think the IWM has a good chance of rebounding for 222, and I think there's a good chance it attempts to rebound. So we'll see if that ends up being the case. For AMD, in my opinion, is looking pretty decent. We're trying to hold above our 20 EMA. We're trying to push up for this 160 area. If we break through this, we're looking for basically 162. If we end up losing 155, this is going to dip back down lower. My gut tells me it might dip a little bit before it tries to continue to push up for 160, then eventually 162. AMD most definitely has potential to push higher if we continue to hold above 155. So far it's been doing that, and the odds are favoring upside again. I also think that this is going to be following Nvidia, so far the chart has shifted back up. For ARM, we kind of popped and then dropped only to get bought back up again. So we have support at 141. If that breaks, we're looking for 137. Our resistance is currently around this 144 area. Right now it's holding support, but I think it's going to consolidate in a range so far. So it could dip tomorrow to 142, then come back up and consolidate. That's what I find to be the most likely case. But if we break 144, we remain more bullish. I see some consolidation for tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. For Coinbase, we got a big dump today, dipped all the way down to about 163. Then it bounced 10 points back up. So pretty crazy stuff from Bitcoin. We did get a dip as you were predicting, only to get bought back up. So to me, if we were to lose 168 on Bitcoin, we dip even lower. As long as we hold above that, we remain more bullish for that 173 target. This is still favoring upside, so watch and see how it goes. For Amazon, we have 194 as resistance. If we break past this, we're looking for an attempt to get up to 195 again. We need to lose 191 to turn more bearish, and so far it's riding support, so it still remains more bullish. However, I just want to call out there's going to be some tough resistance closer to 196. So I think Amazon could go a little bit higher and slowly push its way up to 190, 195 to 196. And we'll see what the reaction is after that. For Meta, we basically have this support around this 556 area. If this fails us, Meta is going to be dipping all the way down towards the 550 area or below. And we also have support at this 560 area. So 560 and 556 are two supports to watch for. We also have resistance all the way up towards 568. So because we held support, I think there's a chance that this may consolidate a little bit longer before it tries to rebound. We might see this dip towards 560 tomorrow, rebound and consolidate in a range like this between 516, 568, and then it might try to bounce later on. But I see some consolidation on Meta, nothing too crazy. Microsoft got a big dump. We were talking about this yesterday in my dump, and that's what happened. We actually dipped all the way down to about 426. We closed a little bit in the red, so there was some weakness in tech that was building. However, now we're trying to hold our support. So 428 is going to be our main support at the 50 EMA. If 428 fails us, we're dipping down to 425. If we manage to hold above this, we're looking for a rebound for 432. We'll be watching to see if 428 holds for tomorrow. If it does hold, we could be retesting 432 all over again, very close to the 20 EMA. We'll see if that ends up being the case, but so far we're doing a good job. For Google, we're just range bound right here. If we end up breaking past 165, we're looking for a big push for 166. If we end up losing a 162.8, we're going to be dipping back down towards 162 flats, and then eventually much lower levels like 160. So on Google, we have a head and shoulders right here. So this could lead to downside, but it could also be a trap. There's been a lot of traps in the market with head and shoulders. They show us head and shoulders only to give us an opposite move. So you want to be careful. The best thing to do is to be very unbiased and watch your levels. If we lose 162.8, we turn more bearish. We're looking for a dip. If we hold that, we could try to rebound. So watch your range between 165 and 162.8. Whichever way we break will determine a much bigger move. Otherwise, we're just range bound, and we'll see if this head and shoulders plays out or not. Once again, it could be a trap, so you always want to be open-minded for that. DJT has been dumping all the way down to the 11s, only to rebound. This could be the start of a bounce as long as we try to hold above this support. So we're looking at support very, very close to about this 12.5 area. If we hold above that, we're looking for a rebound for the 13s. This imbalance up here around 13.6 is going to be our target. So there's a very, very good chance it attempts to rebound like that. I think we might be looking for the 13s for DJT, and that's going to be very, very interesting. So watch for that. For the VIX, I just want to say we look bearish right now. I was thinking it might rebound before it drops lower, but so far it's been dropping lower instead. So it didn't really get much of a rebound. And we're starting to fill this gap, so we haven't fully filled this gap. So I think we're going to be dumping all the way down to the low 15s. So this looks more bearish to me. I think this might dip even lower, and there's no sign of a bounce on the VIX quite yet. Could the VIX bounce in October? Yes, it can. We still have this gap to fill up here in the 22 area, but we're not ready yet. There's another gap also around this like 18 area. We're not ready yet. We still look bearish, so it might dip a little bit more as the market pumps higher temporarily for tomorrow specifically. And then it could actually get a bounce closer to October. I think there's a good chance it's going to happen, but we're not ready yet for the VIX to bounce. We're not ready for the market to dip quite yet. The 10 years drip is dropping as China is cutting rates. This is once again a little bit more bullish for the markets. And last but not least, the dollar, which was showing signs of rebounding. Right, we had this nice kind of like inverse head and shoulders accumulation structure. It has failed. It ended up failing. So it dumped despite attempting to rebound yesterday, and this looks more bearish. Where we're going to be approaching 100 flat. I think we might be dipping towards this wick. So maybe the market goes a little bit higher as the dollar hits 100, and we'll see if the dollar continues to fall as the market pushes higher. I'll be watching this very carefully, so be very open-minded nonetheless, and we'll see how things end up going. Guys, I can't call every single move in the market. Sometimes unpredictable things can happen and new pieces of news could come out. So I just want to give you guys my analysis of what I see happening right now. So right now, looking at the charts, we look more bullish. The odds are favoring that, but always look at the supports I called out just to be safe in case we go south. But for now, the charts do favor the upwards direction. So some tech are a little bit weaker when you look at like Meta, Microsoft, and a few more. Even Google has that head and shoulders, but so far the market has not officially lost critical support. SPY, ES, the QQQ, NQ, and the others are getting bought back up, so the buyers are still defending them despite the dip we saw today. We were right about the dip that was coming. However, the dip did not last, and the buyers have returned. So far, the charts are back to bullish. It's a crazy, wild market that's very tricky, so you want to be very careful with the way things are moving. And for now, the bulls are the ones who have a bigger edge. I think the market could turn bearish again in October, but I don't think we're ready yet. I think for the time being, just for now, the market will attempt to go a little bit higher. I hope that's as clear as possible. With that being said, I thank you all so much for listening. I appreciate you guys' time, and I hope for the best. I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another update before the market opens. And just know when it comes to economic data, I forgot to mention this, there's not really anything coming out tomorrow. It's a very, very quiet day for the economic data. There's nothing too important coming out besides some bill auctions towards the end of the day. All very, very minor data. So don't worry too much about data for tomorrow. We're just going to look at the charts, let the price action dictate things, and do what you have to do, guys. Have a good night, day, or evening, wherever you guys are. And I'll see you guys very soon tomorrow for another update. Thank you, and peace out.